Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, MindofAK. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're not familiar with who I am a writing sculptor, sculpting writer, or whatevs. This week, I'm going to go back into my bag and do another creature feature. So let me set the scene for you for this week, okay? It's a Friday night. I can't sleep, way too much cherry coke, so I'm binge watching Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then, a random question I had since I was 13 just randomly popped in my head. What would happen if we took an alien and a cyclops and made something crazy? I kind of said, you know what? Let's just figure this out together. Let's go ahead and make something epic this week, and that's what we're doing. So let's get right into it, guys. Cue the intro. Inside my mind. Alright guys, let's get started with our prep work. So I already made this body off camera. What it is, it's an armature wire, aluminum foil, and ultralight all put together. So let me show you guys the base I made. So what I did is I glued two pieces of styrofoam together, and I'm taking standard speckling, and I'm mixing it with glossy Mod Podge, some folk art terracotta seafoam, and seafoam color. And I'm also taking some black and brown acrylic paint. That really looks like ice cream. I know it's not, but I really want ice cream right now. Anyway, so I'm taking some also glow in the dark powder, and I'm mixing it all together. So what I want this to look like is like a rocky texture. Like if you saw this guy on a planet somewhere and he just showed up and wanted to fight, this is kind of his turf. So I'm taking all this, placing it on there, and it looks like this. So this takes about 24 to 36 hours for it to fully cure. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and do all of our sculpting. Yeah, it's sculpting time, baby. Let's get right into it. And while we're sculpting this week, I just wanted to take a moment and just thank everybody for the lots of immense support that you guys have shown my last two videos. I was not expecting to get over 600 views on each one, which I know for a lot of people doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, it's literally the world. So I cannot thank you all enough. I am right there. I'm hovering around the 100 subscriber count. I may hit it by the end of this video, who knows. But if you'd like to go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, it would do wonders for me and the channel. And I am going to do a giveaway once I do hit the 100 subscriber mark. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know what I'm giving away. So yeah, if you guys could help me hit that, it would be totally on you guys, and I would be so appreciative of you. And definitely thank you all for the support already. I really do appreciate it. What you just saw me doing was drilling in some tendrils that I'm going to add. And to make these shaped out, I'm using a clay which is called Cos Clay Medium Firm. I've used it in the past, but I wanted to give more detail of what this clay is. It's a clay that stays flexible after you bake it, and it blends with a lot of other clays like the Sculpting I'm using, and it also holds detail a lot better. The reason I used it this time is just in the event that the tendrils moved or shifted, or I had to reposition them while I was detailing after the piece. I didn't want them to crack or anything like that. So that's what that was for. Just to give a little bit of background of what I was thinking with this, I wanted it to be somewhat of a warrior alien. So a lot of detailing, a lot of scratches, a lot of marks. He's a predator by nature. But I also wanted it to come off as if this guy was like a royal guard, for some royal alien family. He's like one of the high officers. I wanted it to come off that way as well. Hopefully it does. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys see some more sculpting and all of that. Now, coming up here imminently, I just want to also share something that I concocted that it might honestly be one of the best sculpting tools that I've ever used. I'd like to introduce you all to the Sculptato. Literally saves me so much time in detailing. Just look at that. All it is a ball of aluminum foil. I wrap some clay around it and put holes, all kinds of nooks, crannies, scuff marks on it. And look at the detail. I cannot begin to tell you how much time this one little thing alone has saved me. And this is actually the first time I got to use it, and I am such a fan of it. I will be using it on pretty much every piece moving forward. I'm just so happy that I came up with it. So we're gonna make some feet now. And with the feet, I just didn't want them to be too dynamic. Just some standard alien feet. Just feet that you would see. And let's go ahead and start the head now. So I just want to do a little bit of a backstory. I came up with a general story for this guy, but I didn't name him, and I didn't want to come up with some generic alien name. So I came up with a super generic name and just called him Fred. So he's Fred the Alien for now. I will definitely look to get a better name for him. I guess you could say that this is just a nameplate for him. So if you guys even can come up with a cooler name for him, let me know in the comment section. I definitely want this guy to have a much better name than just Fred. Or if you guys think Fred is a good name, we'll stick with Fred. I want this to be, some interaction between you guys and everything too. So if you think Fred works, awesome. If we can come up with something better than Fred, we'll go with that too. So the next part here, once I get done with detailing the head, I actually do like how this head came out. Again, I wanted to go with a super alien cyclops mix. I kind of think I got to the point. So I wanted to come up also with a really unique weapon for him. And I didn't want it to be like a laser cannon or anything. So I said, okay, we have this extra eye. What would be super freaky than if he had a mace that was his eyeball? So what you guys are seeing me doing is I'm taking my drill and drilling a lot of holes in this. And what these holes are going to be used for is the spikes that I use with toothpicks. So I break these toothpicks up in half, I place them in, and I thought that this was super creepy. Like, imagine if this guy charged at you with his own eye that he used to try to beat the crap out of you with. I'd run. Would you run? Now, where I'm at here, this started to look like a COVID symbol that was looking at you. So I thought, let's just spin some of these around to kill the effect, and I think it looks a lot better that way. It does too. Now that I made a little hook in place, I put it in with some clay. So now let's go ahead and attach this with some chain. I just got this chain, I got it at Walmart. I'm sure there's other crafting stores that you can get it at, like Michael's, Joann Fabrics, Amazon has a good selection, but for what I needed, this chain definitely worked. I had a little bit of a complication at the onset, I'm not gonna lie, with having the chain go around, but I figured it out, as you can see here in the next shot. Now, the one thing I couldn't figure out, unfortunately, the camera did not record me putting the hands on. So to offset that, here's a shiny photo. Alright, now that that's done, let's go ahead and paint everything. Painting was so much fun this week. And yes, I do want to point this out. Yes, that is an actual dead fly. For some reason, it chose to die right there. And I said, well, if this is where you wanted to be buried, we'll go ahead and keep it here, buddy. So I definitely, after I glued all of my rocks in, And next step, I did take some UV resin. I've been on a UV resin kick, if you can't tell. Now that I'm comfortable with it, I've been using it pretty much every week. But what you see me here right now is I'm using UV resin, and I'm literally drenching all of my rocks with it. And then I take some blue glitter, and I just drizzle it all over it. I think it looks cool. Like, again, out of the world effect. Definitely glitter's evil though. It's evil. Once I applied my rocks and the glitter, I do paint some black on the areas. A lot of this you won't see, but I do want to add some dimension to give the epiphany of shadows, charred earth in some places. And then what I do also later on is I take some black wash mix and I drizzle it all over the piece. I almost had a little bit of an issue with this because it did seep through and it went into the styrofoam. But thankfully the way that I have it glued, it didn't fall apart. Styrofoam somewhat is, very water soluble from what I've been able to see. But this was a really dumb idea. If I did do this again in the future, I probably won't do this. But it worked for now. And it did come out really good. Again, a lot of this, once I put Fred on, you won't see it. But for what I attempted, it did work. Right before I put Fred on, I do take some more of my terracotta and I just dry brush the edges. Again, bring out some more of the dimension. I do want to say I was nervous with Fred going in the oven, but thank God he survived. So once he cooled down, I glued him onto the base immediately. And now we get on to the highlight of the day. It's time to paint this guy. Like I say almost every video, there are times where I like to push myself and do something differently, or expand upon something, or grow in an area that I feel not as comfortable. And one of my areas, shockingly enough, is actually painting. A lot of my pieces are somewhat one-dimensional, one or two colors. There's not really a lot of dimension to bring out. So I wanted to change that up this week and try my best to not have that happen. So what I did is I put my base layer paint on that you could see, and then on the ends I take a darker color and I brush it against the edge just so it had some dimension to it. So the same color that you see me on the leg, I apply it to the edge of the creature, and then also on the outer spikes, which you can see here. And then what you'll see later on in the video is the same darker color I applied down the middle of the creature's face. I should just call him Fred. His name is Fred. So Fred's face also gets that darker color after I take some black paint and I paint the middle spikes and the tendrils the same black color. Now, without question, my favorite thing of painting this week was this mace. I start out with standard black, which again, all of the paints I use this week are either apple barrel or folk art. And once it's dry, I take a treasure gold blend from folk art, which is silver, and I paint all of the spikes, and then I also dry brush it on it to give it a metallic look. This was so much fun to paint. And then again, detailing, I dot some areas just to give it some dimension. I thought this also came out really good. And then what you're also going to see is on the face. I wanted this to be, again, warrior aesthetic, and that's what I was really screaming for this week. I think I did alright, but again, let me know what you guys think I did in the comments. Again, I'm also here to learn as much as showcase, so if you all have any tips or anything that you'd like to share as well, please leave them in the comments. I want to grow as well as an artist, and again, I will never call myself an expert, so if you have any tips, they're all appreciated. So again, I wanted Fred to be super you don't mess with me badass. So I take some red nail polish and I just brush it all over his mace. You'll see me brush it on his hands here in a second. I want Fred to look like he went to war with somebody and he came out better for it. It's one of those, you should see what the other guy looks like. So I really thought that came out really good. This was a great touch as well that I liked. So the last thing I do is I take some folk art color shift paint in green. I paint it all over his chest. In a moment you're going to see me paint an A on the rock. And let's say it together this week, y'all. We missed it last week. Let's do it. Lights, camera, smaction! I really hope y'all enjoyed watching me make Fred this week. This was so much fun. It's the largest piece I've made by far, but I think it came out amazing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments though. I also want to give a shout out to my Patreon members. You guys are amazing as well. If you'd like to join, go ahead and click patreon.com/MindofAK. You can sign up for as little as $3 and all support goes to the channel. If you can also click the like button and subscribe, that also would help me out immensely. Now, before I let you go, let's give you the teaser for next week. Spoiler alert, I'm back to doing a sculpting makeover with a fork. But what do I make? Well, we'll find out next week, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time, guys and gals. Have a good one. Inside